Welcome to the course Design of Reinforced Concrete Structures. Myself as Kranti Vijaya, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, Vignan Institute of Information Technology, Duvada. So in today's lecture, we are going to discuss regarding the torsion in beams and the IS code recommendations and the design procedure for design of torsion. So first, let's see what is meant by torsion. So torsion is defined as the action of twisting of one end of an object relative to the other. So what is torsion? It is nothing but the twisting of one end of a member with relative to the other end. So that twisting is called as torsion. So when this torsion happens in any members, if the external loads are acting far away from the vertical plane of bending, the beam is subjected to twisting about its longitudinal axis, and that is known as the torsion. So along with the bending moment as well as the shearing force, what there will be a torsion also which is subjected to the beam when the loads are acting far away from the vertical plane. So then what? The torsion will appear in the members. So generally where we can see the torsion? The torsion can be seen in spaced frames, inverted L beams, canopies, beams curved in plan, and edge beams of slabs. So these are the examples of structures which are generally subjected to torsional movements. So these are the figures. So these are the spaced frames, the inverted L beams, beams which are curved in plan, and the edge beams in slab. So here now let us take a small example and explain you how a beam is subjected to torsion. So for that what I am considering here is I am considering a cantilever slab which is resting on a beam, and let us draw the section of a cantilever slab which is resting on a beam. So this is going to be our cantilever slab and this is our beam. So this particular cantilever slab is resting on this particular beam. So what happens if this particular slab is loaded? Okay, what happens? Due to this cantilever slab, this beam, particular beam, will have the effect of torsion. Okay, so what it will have the effect of torsion. So this is a case where the beams are generally subjected to torsion, and these are all the other cases where the beams are subjected to the torsional movements. So now let us see what are the IS codal recommendations for the design of torsion members. So before going to see the IS codal recommendations, so for the design of torsional movement, the IS code has recommended to take the equivalent shear force and the equivalent bending moments. Now let us see what are the equivalent shear force and the equivalent bending moments. So as per IS 456-2000, in the design of torsion, okay, the calculation for the torsion is based on the equivalent shear forces and the equivalent bending moments. Here the effect of torsional moment, it is taken in the form of additional shear force and the additional bending moment is added to the actual bending moment and the actual shear force. So that what we will get here, we will get an equivalent bending moment and equivalent shear force. So what here? So here what? To get an equivalent bending moment and an equivalent shear force, what they are doing? They are adding the actual bending moment and additional bending moment due to torsion. So if we'll add both of that, we'll get the equivalent bending moment, and for calculating the equivalent shear force, we have to add the actual shear force and the additional shear force due to the torsional moment. So this is what IS 456-2000 has recommended. So for the design of torsion, we are going to consider the equivalent shear force and the equivalent bending moment. So now how we'll calculate the equivalent shear force and the equivalent bending moment? Let us see the equations. So for the design of torsion, what we have to do is, the first step is we have to calculate the shear force Vu. So after calculating the shear force, we have to calculate the equivalent shear. What we have to calculate? We have to calculate the equivalent shear. So how the equivalent shear is denoted by? It is denoted by VE. And this equivalent shear is calculated by using this particular equation. So VE is equal to Vu plus 1.6 Tu by B. So Vu here is nothing but the shear force, Tu is nothing but the torsional moment, and B is the breadth of the beam. So from this we are going to get the equivalent shear. So after calculating the equivalent shear, the next step what we have to do is, we have to calculate the equivalent nominal shear stress, which is denoted by tau VE. So how we'll calculate the tau VE? In this case, the formula which is used given in 40.1 has to be used, and instead of Vu we have to substitute VE. So what is the formula there which is given? That is tau V is equal to Vu by BD is the equation what is it is given in 40.1. So here what, in place of Vu what we have to use? We have to use VE. So how we will calculate the tau VE? Tau VE is equal to VE by BD. So this is nothing but the equivalent nominal shear stress tau VE. So after calculating the VE, we have to calculate the tau VE. So after calculating the tau VE, we have to calculate the tau C max, and never the tau VE should be greater than tau C max. So if tau VE is greater than tau C max, then what we have to do is, we have to redesign the section. So tau VE should be always less than tau C max. So here it is given, that is, this value of tau VE shall not exceed the value of tau C max. So how we will calculate tau C max? Tau C max is taken from the table 20 of IS 456-2000. So after checking this, the next step what we have to do is, we have to calculate the tau C value from table 19 of IS 456-2000, and we have to compare the tau VE and tau C values. So if tau VE is less than tau C, then what we have to do is, we have to provide a minimum shear reinforcement as per the clause 26.5.1.6. So as per this clause, what we have to provide the minimum shear reinforcement. So how the shear reinforcement will be provided? We have already seen in the previous lecture, that is in the shear. So the same shear reinforcement in the form of stirrups has to be provided here also, when the tau VE is less than tau CE. So in the other case, when tau VE is greater than tau C, what we have to do? If tau VE exceeds tau C, okay, then what we have to provide the torsional reinforcement in the form of longitudinal and transverse reinforcement. So what we have to do, if tau V is greater than tau C, then we have to provide the torsional reinforcement in the form of longitudinal bars as well as the transverse bars. So now what? We have to provide the torsional reinforcement in the form of longitudinal bars and the transverse reinforcement. So how the longitudinal reinforcement has to be provided? The longitudinal reinforcement shall be designed to resist an equivalent bending moment. So first what we have to do, we have to calculate the equivalent bending moment ME1. So ME1 will be equal to MU plus MT. MU is nothing but the bending moment at the cross section and MT is the torsional bending moment. And how we have to calculate this MT? MT is calculated by using this particular equation, which is TU into 1 plus D by B divided by 1.7. So TU here is the torsional moment, D here is the overall depth of the beam and B is the breadth of the beam. So what? Now after getting the values of MU and MT. So after getting the values of MU and MT, what we have to do is we have to compare both the values. So if the value of MT, if it is more than the MU, that is if MT is greater than MU, then what we have to do? We have to provide the reinforcement in the compression phase also, so that it can withstand an equivalent moment of ME2, which can be calculated by MT minus MU. So for this particular moment, we have to provide the additional reinforcement also in the compression zone when MT is greater than MU. So the other condition is if MT is less than MU, then what you have to do? The normal tension reinforcement can be provided. So if MT is greater than MU, then only we have to provide the additional reinforcement in the compression zone. Now let us see how the distribution of longitudinal reinforcements is done. Now what? Now let us see the distribution of longitudinal reinforcement. So how the longitudinal reinforcement has to be provided? The longitudinal reinforcement shall be placed close to the corner of the cross section in all the cases, and there should be at least one bar in each corner. That is, on each corner you have to place at least one bar. So one bar in this corner and the other bar in the other corner. And if the depth of the beam, if it exceeds 450 mm, then what you have to do is you have to provide an additional reinforcement, and that additional reinforcement is called as the side face reinforcement. Now how much the side face reinforcement you have to provide when the depth is more than 450 mm? Let us see that. So if the depth of the beam is above 450 mm, then what we have to provide? So if the depth of the beam is above 450 mm, then what we have to do? We have to provide the side face reinforcement. So what should be the area of the side face reinforcement? A total area of side face reinforcement it should be provided and should not be less than 0.1% of the area, and it should be distributed equally on the two faces, and the spacing, it should not exceed 300 mm. So this is how we have to provide the side face reinforcement if the depth is more than 450 mm. So now what we have provided? The longitudinal reinforcement. So next what we have to provide? We have to provide the distribution reinforcement. So now let us see how the distribution reinforcement has to be provided. So now what we have to provide? The transverse reinforcement. So how we have to provide the transverse reinforcement? So the transverse reinforcement is provided in the form of vertical stirrups, and the vertical stirrups ASV is given by this formula, and from this formula what you have to do? You can calculate the spacing required. So where TU is nothing but the torsional moment, SV is the spacing, VU is the shear force, and Fy is the grade of the steel, and B1 and D1 are the distances of the long and the short distances of the bars center to center. So by using this equation we can calculate the spacing for the transverse reinforcement, and the total area of the transverse reinforcement, it shall not be less than this value. So tau VE minus tau C into B into SV divided by 0.87 Fi. So this is how we have to provide the transverse reinforcement. Now let us see how the transverse reinforcement is being distributed. So the distribution reinforcement, that is the transverse reinforcement in torsion beams, it is provided in the form of rectangular closed stirrups, okay, and the spacing of the stirrups, it should not exceed the least of x1 plus y1 by 4 and 300 mm. So out of these three, the least value you have to consider, and the spacing what you have provided previously, you have calculated previously using the transverse reinforcement equations, that should not be more than this, okay, that should not exceed the least of these three values, where x1 and y1 are the short and long dimensions of the stirrup. So x1 is being the short dimension and y1 is the long dimension of the stirrup. So this is how we have to distribute the torsion reinforcement. So these are the steps what you have to follow for providing the torsional reinforcement in beams. Thank you.